All right, welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever listened to an artist and just thought, how do they sound so classic and so new at the same time? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We are breaking down the incredible guitar sound of the Japanese artist Surii. Seriously, his tone is something else. And if you're a guitarist trying to find your own unique sound, you're going to want to stick around for this one.
Okay, so to really get his guitar tone, you have to get this. Surii is not just a guitarist, not by a long shot. He's a composer, yeah, but he's also a massive Vocaloid producer. Making huge hits with synthesized vocals, that's him. And that combination of hats he wears, that's the secret sauce. It's totally the key to his whole sound.
So that's the big question, right? How does he pull it off? How does he make a guitar sound that feels kind of nostalgic, but at the same time it's so polished and fits perfectly into these really packed modern songs? Well, believe it or not, it all starts with something really old school, pure analog warmth.
First up, let's talk about that foundation. We're calling it the analog heart of his setup. This is where all that incredible warmth and character comes from, the stuff you just can't get out of a plug-in.
Now, when it comes to guitars, he's got a whole arsenal, and he's super smart about how he uses each one. His number one, a Fender Jazzmaster. That bright, sharp single-coil tone is perfect for cutting through a really busy track. But then, for those tight, choppy rhythm parts, he'll grab a Telecaster. If he needs to get heavy, he's got this awesome Telegib with a humbucker for those thick, distorted sounds. And for ballads or just layering up textures in the studio, he'll go for that warm, round sound of a Gibson ES-355. A tool for every job, you know?
And what good are amazing guitars without amazing amps, right? He's all about high-end tube amps. And just like with his guitars, it's not about finding one single good tone. No, it's about having a whole palette of sounds. He picks each amp for a very specific purpose, making sure he's got the right tool for whatever musical idea pops into his head.
So, let's look at the lineup. For that punchy, super clear crunch sound, especially live, he's often using a divided by 13 FTR-37, a real boutique beauty. If he needs to bring the heat with some heavy, saturated leads, out comes the Bulgurn Ecstasy. And in the studio, when he needs that perfect, sparkling clean tone, that perfect canvas to paint on with effects, he goes for the absolute classic, the Fender Twin Reverb. See, this is what we mean by the analog heart of his sound.
Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. All that amazing vintage-style gear, it's only half the story. It's paired with an incredibly powerful digital brain that gives him total pinpoint control. And that right there, that's the whole theme of his sound. It's this beautiful marriage of old-school vibe and new-school high-tech precision.
All right, let's flip the coin and look at the other side, the digital brain. This is where that surgical precision comes into play.
So the heart of this modern side of his rig is the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. And look, this thing is way more than just a box of effects. It's an insanely powerful modeler that can literally capture the exact sound and feel of his real, physical tube amps. Think about that. He can basically pack his entire collection of heavy, expensive amps into one little unit he can put on his pedal board.
So why is this so huge for him? Well, for one, it means he can take the exact sound of his favorite boutique amps, mic'd up perfectly in the studio, and bring that exact sound on stage, every night. The consistency is just flawless. Plus, for a guy who works across so many different genres, having that kind of flexibility at his feet, man, that's just a total game changer. Okay, so he's got the analog warmth and the digital precision, but great gear is, well, it's just gear. The real secret sauce here isn't what he's using, it's how he's thinking about it. He's not thinking like a guitarist, he's thinking like a producer. And this quote, this says everything. He's not just trying to get a good guitar tone. That sounds amazing all by itself. Anyone can do that in their bedroom. No, he's focused on getting the right sound that fits perfectly into the whole song. He's already thinking about how the guitar is going to sit with the vocals, the drums, the bass, everything. It's a completely different mindset. And he takes this producer brain stuff right into his recording software, into Logic Pro. He's got this method for EQing his guitars so they're mix ready from the get-go. First, he'll cut out some of that muddy, cluttered sound down in the low mids. Then he'll give it a little boost in the presence range, to help it cut through without being too loud. And finally, he'll roll off those super high, fizzy frequencies so the guitar isn't fighting with the singer's voice. That's not just playing guitar, that's engineering. And it goes even deeper than that. He's using plugins to add bass and presence without making things muddy.
He's thinking about panning, keeping the main riff in the middle, but pushing other parts out wide to create this huge soundscape. He makes sure his delays and reverbs are perfectly timed to the song's tempo, so it all feels super cohesive. And maybe most importantly, he gets that sometimes the best thing you can play is nothing at all. Knowing when to leave space is a true producer's move.
So you're probably thinking, okay, this is awesome, but I don't have thousands of dollars for boutique amps. And you don't need it. So let's talk about how you can take this whole philosophy and apply it to your own setup.
Remember, the key here is to get the idea behind the gear, not the exact piece of gear itself. Instead of a Fender, a Squier J Mascis Jazzmaster is an incredible guitar that gets you right in that ballpark. You don't need a wall of tube amps. A desktop amp like the Yamaha THR-30ii is perfect for getting those clean and crunchy tones at home. And if you want to dip your toes into the world of modeling, like the Quad Cortex, something like the Line 6 Pod Go is a super powerful and affordable way to start. It's all about capturing the spirit of that hybrid setup.
So when you boil it all down, it comes back to this one simple formula. You've got the analog heart for that real, authentic warmth. You've got the digital brain for total precision and flexibility. And you bring it all together with a producer's touch, always making sure every sound serves the song. That, right there, is the essence of how Surii builds his tone.
And that leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on, doesn't it? Maybe the ultimate guitar tone isn't about choosing sides, vintage gear versus new gear. Surii's sound really proves that the most exciting, creative stuff is happening in that space right in between the old and the new. Definitely something to think about as you continue on your own journey to find your sound.